In just one night, over 40 drones shook Russian soil, with more than 20,000 square meters reduced to ashes. Fierce flames engulfed critical industrial plants, oil depots, and even military facilities once considered invulnerable. Footage of explosions lighting up the skies over cities such as Gatchina and Rostov has captured global attention, painting a stark picture of a conflict that has now reached Russia's own backyard. But how was Ukraine able to strike so deep into Russian territory with such precision? How extensive is the damage to Russia? And what does this escalation mean for the future of the war? Stay tuned as we delve into this event and explore the bold strategies driving Ukraine's counteroffensive. Over the past few weeks, the heart of Russia has been shaken in ways we've never seen before. From the shores of the Black Sea to the very outskirts of Moscow, a wave of fiery destruction has engulfed strategic targets critical to Russia's war efforts. Industrial plants, military production facilities, and chemical factories have been hit, leaving a trail of chaos and uncertainty. One of the most striking incidents occurred in Gatchina, just outside St. Petersburg. At 6 a.m., a factory producing acetone, a key component in military explosives and rocket fuel, erupted in a series of massive explosions. The flames shot high into the sky, lighting up the night in a blaze so intense that it could be seen miles away. Social media exploded with footage showing bursts of light and a fire consuming over 20,000 square meters of industrial land. The factory, once a hub for Russia's war machine, now stands as a smoldering reminder of the conflict's reach. And it doesn't end there. Across Rostov, Bryansk, and the Leningrad region, Ukrainian drones have targeted facilities previously thought untouchable. In the town of Crimea, the Plast factory, a producer of vital industrial materials, was hit by an inferno that raged through the night. Workers were evacuated, and emergency crews struggled to contain the flames, which destroyed significant parts of the facility. This is no longer an isolated incident. It's a pattern, one that's sending a clear message to Moscow. The Russian Defense Ministry declined to make an official statement on whether the fire was linked to Ukrainian drones. However, Andrei Kovalenko, head of the Countering Disinformation Center of the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine, said on his official social media account that the attack targeted secret military facilities. He also reported that the drone attack caused a fire in an industrial complex with factories in the town of Gatchina in the Leningrad region. These strikes aren't just damaging infrastructure, they're creating ripples of fear and uncertainty throughout Russia. From oil depots to chemical plants, Ukraine is systematically targeting the backbone of Russia's military-industrial complex. And these attacks are hitting where it hurts the most, deep within Russia's borders. But the most shocking revelation isn't the damage, it's how these strikes reveal the cracks in Russia's defenses. Ukraine's drones have exposed vulnerabilities that Moscow would rather keep hidden. Despite Russia's claims of having one of the most sophisticated air defense systems in the world, the reality paints a much different picture. Consider this. During one overnight attack, the Russian Defense Ministry admitted to intercepting 40 Ukrainian drones. But the key detail is what they didn't stop. Critical infrastructure was still hit, and fires raged on. How could these drones, some traveling hundreds of kilometers into Russian airspace, make it past supposed state-of-the-art defenses? It raises a haunting question. Is Russia truly capable of protecting its own territory? Experts have long speculated about the gaps in Russia's air defense systems, and these strikes only confirm their fears. Facilities crucial to Russia's war effort are being disguised as ordinary industrial sites, but Ukraine seems to know exactly where to hit. It's not just a matter of luck, it's strategic precision, and it's working. These events are not only a military challenge, but also a blow to Russia's image on the global stage. For years, Moscow has portrayed itself as untouchable, an impenetrable fortress. Now, the images of raging fires and plumes of black smoke tell a very different story. The cost of this war for Russia is staggering, not just in terms of resources, but in human lives. Since the full-scale invasion began nearly 3 years ago, over 6,000 elite Russian soldiers have lost their lives on the battlefield. These are not just ordinary troops. They are the backbone of Russia's military might, its best trained and most experienced fighters. Let's break it down. Among the casualties are 3,162 paratroopers, troops who underwent years of rigorous training to execute specialized missions. The Marines, known for their combat toughness, have suffered 1,247 deaths, while the GRU Special Forces, Russia's top-tier covert operatives, have lost 577 members, including 108 officers. These are staggering numbers for units that take years and millions of dollars to train and deploy. And these figures may only scratch the surface. Analysts suggest that the actual number of casualties could be much higher, with estimates ranging from 135,000 to 196,000 total Russian losses. Each number represents a soldier who was once the pride of their family, their unit, and their country. Now, their absence is a growing void in Russia's military capability. The losses aren't just human. The war has decimated Russia's arsenal, wiping out equipment that is critical for maintaining its offensive operations. Since February 2022, Russia has reportedly lost 9,491 tanks, vehicles meant to dominate the battlefield, but now reduced to charred husks, over 20,253 armored combat vehicles, the backbone of ground offensives, 1,789 artillery systems, and 1,260 rocket launcher systems, vital tools for long-range attacks, 369 aircraft and 331 helicopters, eroding Russia's air superiority, nearly 2,200 unmanned aerial vehicles, essential for modern warfare. And let's not forget the economic toll. The cost of replacing these losses runs into tens of billions of dollars, a financial burden that Russia's struggling economy is ill-equipped to bear. Each destroyed tank, plane, or artillery piece isn't just a loss on the battlefield. It's a blow to the logistics, planning, and morale of the Russian military. These losses aren't just numbers. They're a reflection of the immense pressure this war is placing on Russia. The families of fallen soldiers are grieving, while military units scramble to replace irreplaceable personnel and equipment. Factories are struggling to meet the demands of war production, and the financial strain is rippling through every sector of Russian society. The cracks in Russia's war machine are widening with every passing day. Equipment can be replaced, but trained personnel, elite soldiers, pilots, and special forces cannot be rebuilt overnight. And as Ukraine continues to target key infrastructure and logistics, the cost for Russia only grows. The human and material losses tell a grim story for Moscow. As the war drags on, the question isn't just how much Russia can endure, but how long it can sustain the fight. Meanwhile, Ukraine is proving to be wiser and more adaptable with tactics that leave Putin utterly stunned. Ukraine's battlefield tactics have undergone a massive transformation, and drones have become the backbone of Kiev's strategy. Take the Raybird, for instance, a high-tech drone that has been a game-changer. This isn't just another flying camera. The Raybird can stay in the air for up to 20 hours, cover distances of 200 to 300 kilometers, and seamlessly switch between reconnaissance and strike missions. It's an incredible tool that keeps Ukraine one step ahead. Defense experts explain how drones like the Raybird are disrupting Russian operations. These drones identify Russian supply hubs, troop movements, and key logistics points, delivering pinpoint intelligence to Ukrainian forces. But it doesn't stop there. With cutting-edge cameras and optics, the Raybird can operate day and night, even at altitudes of 2 kilometers. Once a target is locked, the drone doesn't just relay the information, it can strike with deadly accuracy. Ukraine has turned its drones into silent predators, slipping past Russian defenses to hit where it matters most. This innovation has been vital in leveling the playing field, especially against an adversary with superior numbers and firepower. Every strike from these drones chips away at Russia's military machine, turning once secure supply routes and depots into smoldering ruins. Ukraine's strikes are not random, they are surgical. Kyiv has shifted its focus to crippling Russia's ability to sustain the war. Secret military installations, ports, and production facilities, these are no longer safe zones for Moscow. Just last week, drones targeted 3 major industrial facilities that, according to Ukrainian sources, served as covert support centers for Russia's military. One of the most devastating strikes was on a chemical plant in Gachina, where acetone, a critical ingredient for rocket fuel and explosives, is produced. The massive explosions left the plant in ruins, halting production and disrupting supplies to the front lines. This wasn't just a tactical victory, it was a psychological one. The images of blazing fires spreading across 20,000 square meters sent shockwaves throughout Russia and beyond. Another significant strike hit the Plast factory in the Rostov region, a major producer of industrial materials. The fire there raged for hours, forcing evacuations and crippling operations. In yet another bold move, Ukraine targeted ports in Novorossiysk, striking key infrastructure used for shipping military supplies. These attacks are not just symbolic, they're systematic, designed to dismantle Russia's war economy piece by piece. By hitting these critical facilities, Ukraine is sending a clear message. The days of untouchable Russian strongholds are over. These strikes are forcing Russia to divert resources away from the front lines to repair infrastructure, defend key areas, and manage the fallout. What makes Kyiv's strategy so effective is its focus on precision and timing. Every drone launched, every target struck, serves a purpose. This isn't about brute force, it's about exploiting weaknesses and creating chaos within Russia's military machine. Each facility destroyed is another crack in the foundation of Moscow's war efforts. As Ukraine continues to innovate and adapt, Russia is finding itself stretched thin. Its resources are overextended, its defenses are faltering, and its once strong grip on its own territory is slipping. Ukraine's evolving strategy is more than a response to the invasion. It's a blueprint for how a smaller, outgunned force can stand up to a global power. The story of Ukraine's drones and their ability to hit Russia's most critical assets is a testament to ingenuity and resilience. These strikes are not just shaping the battlefield, they are reshaping the entire conflict. Kongdenglayada, Ukraine's tactical brilliance is on full display in the KSK region, where its forces are executing a calculated strategy designed to stretch Russia's military resources to the breaking point. By launching operations in this region, Ukraine has forced Russia to make a tough choice: spread its forces even thinner or risk leaving critical areas exposed. This strategy is already working. Reports indicate that Russian command in the KSK region is scrambling to respond. Units from as far away as the 127th Motorized Rifle Division and the 34th Motorized Rifle Brigade have been redeployed to counter the Ukrainian maneuvers. These reinforcements are being pulled from other key locations, weakening Russia's ability to maintain its defensive lines elsewhere. Ukrainian forces are systematically targeting vulnerabilities, creating a chain reaction that amplifies the strain on Moscow's overstretched resources. The panic is palpable. Russian troops in the KSK region are facing relentless pressure, and videos circulating on social media reveal the disorganized response to Ukraine's movements. Instead of a coordinated strategy, Russia appears to be throwing reinforcements into the fray in piecemeal fashion, a desperate attempt to plug the gaps. Since Ukraine's incursion into Russia's Kursk region in August 2024, Russian forces have endured substantial casualties and equipment losses. According to Ukrainian Commander-in-Chief Oleksandr Syrsky, as of January 1, 2025, Russian casualties totaled approximately 38,000, including nearly 15,000 soldiers killed. In addition to personnel losses, Russian forces have suffered significant equipment depletion. Reports indicate that over 1,000 pieces of Russian weaponry and military equipment have been destroyed during the operations in the Kursk region. These losses have been exacerbated by the involvement of North Korean troops supporting Russian forces. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky reported that both Russian and North Korean units have suffered heavy casualties in the Kursk region. At the heart of this chaos lies a simple truth. Russia's military is running out of options. Its reserves are depleted, and its forces are overextended across multiple fronts. The once mighty Russian army is now a patchwork of units struggling to hold the line. The cracks in their strategy are becoming impossible to ignore. Ukraine is exploiting these weaknesses with precision. By targeting the KSK region, a critical area with fortified defensive lines, Ukrainian forces are testing the durability of Russia's positions. These lines, built over 6 months of labor, are showing signs of strain. Despite the fortifications, Russia has been unable to mount a decisive counteroffensive, revealing the limits of its capabilities. And it's not just the KSK region. Russia's inability to reinforce effectively has left other critical fronts vulnerable. Ukrainian forces are capitalizing on this, launching probing attacks and drawing Russian troops into costly engagements. Every move Ukraine makes seems to stretch the rope just a little tighter, and that rope is nearing its breaking point. Ukraine's operations in the KSK region are more than a battlefield maneuver. They are a psychological blow. By forcing Russia to react rather than act, Ukraine is seizing the initiative and reshaping the conflict. The panic in Russian ranks is not just a symptom of tactical missteps, it's a sign of a deeper strategic collapse. The longer this dynamic continues, the harder it will be for Russia to recover. With limited reserves, faltering defenses, and mounting losses, the situation in the KSK region is a microcosm of the larger conflict, a war that Russia is finding increasingly difficult to sustain. The war is no longer something distant for the Russian public. With footage of explosions, raging fires, and plumes of black smoke spreading across social media, the reality of the conflict is hitting home. Each video showing flames engulfing a once secure industrial facility or an oil depot in ruins is a stark reminder that the so-called untouchable Russian heartland is no longer safe. This steady stream of devastating images is eroding public confidence in Moscow's ability to protect its territory. Panic is beginning to take root, not just among ordinary citizens, but also within Russia's political and military leadership. Conversations in online forums and on the streets reflect growing distrust in the Kremlin's reassurances. If their air defenses can't stop these attacks, what else might be vulnerable? It's a question that lingers in the minds of millions. As Ukraine's strikes grow bolder, Russian morale is showing signs of decline. Soldiers on the front lines are undoubtedly seeing the impact of these attacks back home, and that knowledge eats away at their resolve. For many, it must feel like they're fighting a losing battle, one where even their homeland isn't beyond the reach of the enemy. The big question now is, where does this lead? Ukraine's strikes are not just tactical victories. They represent a shift in the dynamics of this war. The possibility of deeper incursions into Russian territory is no longer a distant theory. It's a looming reality. Key military and industrial targets across Russia are being hit with precision, and there's every indication that Kyiv's campaign will intensify. Russia's military capabilities are already strained, and analysts predict this pressure will only increase. With its resources stretched thin across multiple fronts and reserves running low, Moscow faces an uphill battle to sustain its war effort. The longer Ukraine keeps up this momentum, the harder it will be for Russia to regroup and respond effectively. Moreover, the psychological toll on Russian leadership cannot be ignored. Every successful Ukrainian strike chips away at Moscow's image of invulnerability. The idea of a fortified, impenetrable Russia is being dismantled piece by piece. And this shift in perception could have profound consequences for the Kremlin's ability to project strength both at home and abroad. Ukraine's strategy is reshaping the very fabric of this war, pushing the battlefront into areas that were once thought to be out of reach. As the strikes grow more frequent and their impact more profound, it's clear that this is no longer just a conflict over territory. It's a battle for control of the narrative, for morale, and for the future of both nations. The war is entering a new and dangerous phase, one where the lines between offense and defense are increasingly blurred. How far will Ukraine go? How much more can Russia endure? These are the questions that will define the coming months. Stay tuned as we continue to break down the developments shaping this unprecedented conflict. As we witness these dramatic shifts in the conflict, we want to hear from you. What do you think about Ukraine's bold strategy and the ripple effects it's creating inside Russia? Do you believe these strikes could change the course of the war? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective is a vital part of this conversation. If you found this analysis insightful, don't forget to support our channel by hitting the like button. It's a small action that helps us continue bringing you in-depth updates on this ongoing conflict. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of these critical developments. Thank you for watching and stay tuned as we continue to unpack the most pressing issues in this conflict. Together, we can better understand the challenges and strategies shaping the future. See you in the next video.